You're watching Last Minute Laura. Hey, why don't you subscribe? I put out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to mend the worn out crotch on your jeans. Just like this. For this project, you're going to need some jeans. You're going to need some denim scraps to use for patches. You'll need sharp scissors, embroidery floss, sewing needles, and a thimble, and maybe an embroidery hoop. And everything that I use in this video obviously will be linked in the description below. So first thing I did was find some denim that matched the jeans I wanted to repair. Once I did that, I got everything else out of the way. And just so you know, it doesn't really matter if the denim matches because the patch you use underneath won't end up showing. First thing I did was decided how I wanted to mend these jeans. And I decided I wanted to cut out two sort of half moon shapes to get rid of the worn out area. But first, I wanted to just quickly sort of mend that hole that was there. So I'm gonna start by trimming away the loose threads and just doing a really simple stitch to sew that hole together. This is not for like structural integrity or anything, it's just so that I can see the shape of the fabric and to kind of begin the process of mending. This is not the mend. So, once I get all that sort of stitched together really simply, nothing fancy, next thing that I'm going to do is cut out those half moon shapes that I showed in the beginning. I'm using my embroidery hoop to trace that circle-y shape in order to guarantee that it's like a lot nicer than what I would do just by eye. And I'm using chalk just to outline that so that I can follow a line, make it a little bit straighter. And then I'm just going to trim those guys out. And after I trim them, I'm going to trace over them with about an extra inch around the outside of the denim I've decided to use as the patch. Also, in case you didn't know, I put out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday on this channel. Right now, they're a little bit heavy in mending and embroidery because I'm back into loving mending and embroidery. But I do have lots of crochet tutorials, I have lots of sewing and lots of making videos. So if you like to make stuff, definitely check out the channel and subscribe because I do put out new videos all the time. Okay, so now we've got our patches done. I'm positioning I'm going to call it the wounded denim. So that's the old denim. I'm positioning it on top of the fresh denim, and I'm drawing some vertical lines to follow along with my embroidery stitches. I'm pinning the fabric just to make sure it doesn't move, and then I'm going to do some straight stitches, just straight across, nothing fancy, up and down, just weave through the fabric. And I'm going to do all of those vertical lines with that stitch, trying to keep those stitches fairly close together. And I picked a contrasting thread because I thought it was kind of cute, but you could pick something that matches really closely and then you wouldn't see this nearly as much as you will on mine at the end. However, my partner does not need subtlety in his wardrobe. He likes when I kind of make it crazy, so he enjoyed the contrasting thread, but if you're trying to make it like a subtle repair, then I would say pick a thread that matches the denim as best you can. After the vertical lines, I drew out some horizontal lines to follow along, just so that there's a bit of a crosshatch pattern, so there's more security between those two patches. You could also use a sewing machine for this. Honestly, you could, it's really simple, you could, and do the exact same thing, vertical lines and horizontal lines. That would probably create a more subtle appearance, but again, I like the kind of handmade aspect of repairing with embroidery floss and the sort of sashiko style embroidery mending. I like it a lot, so that's what I'm up to right now, but you could definitely do this in a couple of other ways. You don't need to use embroidery floss and you don't need to do it by hand, but if you want to do it by hand, then this is definitely a cool way that adds a lot of structure, a lot of stability, and totally repairs your problem without having to buy a whole new pair of jeans. After my partner saw these once it was done, he decided he wanted the knees redone on his jeans, and he wanted to add some patches on his other pairs of jeans. He was super into it. So you might be surprised thinking that you're just doing a mend and then you find out that you actually have a huge project ahead of you because it turned out way cooler than you thought. So after I finished those horizontal lines, which I'm just getting through here, I'm going to be repositioning these patches back in the original jeans. The cool thing about using the original denim, even though it's wounded, on top of the patch is that you end up not having any color contrast between the two denims, because the only denim that shows once you install it back into the jeans is going to be the original denim. There's not going to be any of that patch visible. So there we go, all finished. And I ended up leaving that little mended area because I thought it looked cute, kind of like a scarecrow or something. And now I'm going to place those back into the jeans, which at this point are like a weird assless chap cowboy thong sort of thing. And then you can see now that that patch that's behind the wounded denim isn't even visible, just the sort of crosswork embroidery is. So I switched to some Gutermann cotton thread because I like it and it's strong, and I used 2 strands of that thread and did a whip stitch, attaching the wounded denim only to the original jeans. So at this point the patch is not in play at all, the patch behind that wounded piece. So I'm just reattaching the old denim to the jeans, no special stitching, just a whip stitch all the way around. And then once I attached the the patches on both sides, I'm going to be switching to some black embroidery floss. But first I'm just gonna whip all the way around, just connecting the patch back to the jeans. So you can see there, you can see those little black stitches, and now I am going to just pin the patch to the denim so that I don't get any puckering or anything, any folds where I accidentally sew through the wrong thing. Now I'm using embroidery floss, and I'm using 2 strands of DMC black embroidery floss, and I'm just going to do the same stitch I used on the patch, but now I'm doing it in black. You could use the same color that you used, it doesn't matter, it's completely up to you at this point. And then I'm going to go around that patch 2 different times on all sides. It can get a little bit difficult when you're going through the seam, so just do what you can. Okay, so there is the first bit. So this looks close to done, but we have to flip it inside out and fix up the inside. So I used some gold embroidery floss that matched the pockets of the jeans, just to kind of try and have some continuity on the inside, making it look a little bit more finished. Then I folded all the raw edges that were left, folded them under, and then using a whip stitch, I connected the seam to the patch. I'm not sewing through the denim at this point, I'm only sewing through the seam on the inner side, inner crotch of the denim, and through the patch. This is hiding all the raw edges, preventing fraying for the future, but it's also making it look more finished and more purposeful. My whole goal with all of these mending projects, it's not for it to be perfect, it's to look like it's on purpose. So it's okay if it's rough, it's okay if you use weird colors, as long as it looks like that's what you wanted in the project, then I feel like it's a success. So I matched the gold as best as I could. I figured it made it a little bit, I don't know, more purposeful looking. And then I thinned out the corner there just so I wouldn't have a big lump with some bulk. When I was doing the round edges, I switched a little bit. I used a blanket stitch for the embroidery, and I just folded the raw edge under and then did a blanket stitch. I didn't attach this part at this point, so I didn't want to attach it here with the gold because I would have to go through the actual leg of the denim, and then you would see the gold thread on the other side of the jeans, and you don't want that. You want the denim from the outside to look like a regular pair of jeans. So after I did this blanket stitch all the way around, I switched back to the black Gutermann thread, and I'll show you that in just a second. I'm just gonna show you here how now that raw edge is hidden, but it's not flat. It kind of jumps up a little bit and it's not perfectly flat, and that's what we don't want. So then I took my black Gutermann thread and I was doing the same style whip stitch that I was doing on the other parts of the denim with the gold, but instead of going through the entire jeans, I was just going through 2 or 3 threads on the inside of the jeans, on the wrong side of the denim. So that way the tacking down that I'm doing here to keep that patch flat isn't gonna show on the other side because it wouldn't look cute. So you can see how much flatter the side where I've tacked down is. Now it almost looks like it's the same colors as the original denim. It looks much more finished, much more pretty, and it's going to help with long-term wear and the longevity of the patch because it's not going to be rubbing against or moving. It's tacked down right to the end. So you can see there just a teeny little bit of the denim, and I'm going all the way around with that, and then I will tie it off. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, that's it. That's the whole thing. I'm gonna show you what it looks like inside out, or right side in I should say, so you can see how the patch is. After it goes through the wash, all that puckering goes away, and trim up the threads that you want trimmed, obviously, leave what you want left. But that's it, easy peasy. The jeans are mended. They look similar to how they did before, but in my opinion, a little bit cooler. And it's an easy fix to a problem that, I don't know, anybody who's got the thunder thighs will relate to. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had to replace your jeans or if you'd like to now that you know how. And thank you guys so much for watching. I put out videos every Tuesday and Thursday, so we'll see you in the next one. Bye!